What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warwick Report. I still got a big smile on my face because I burst out laughing when I saw this. I was at work and I opened up my phone and I saw this tweet saying that Nick Nurse has been hired by the 76ers of all teams. And I thought, no way, this has got to be a troll tweet until I saw multiple accounts post that. And this was being reported by Adrian Wojnarowski about an hour or so ago that ESPN sources, Nick Nurse has reached an agreement to become the next coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. Nurse, who won an NBA championship and coach of the year with Toronto, now gets to coach the 2023 MVP Joel Embiid. So I don't know how I feel about this. I'm going to be honest. This was very strange to hear, but this was actually something I had told many people once Doc Rivers was fired. I said, do not be surprised if Nick Nurse ultimately decides to be petty and take the 76ers to get back at the Raptors. I know people may not feel that way, but there was also a tweet that came out a little while later stating that Nick Nurse chose the 76ers over the Suns, per Adrian Wojnarowski. Nurse's desire to coach MVP Joel Embiid and his history with the 76ers president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, played a significant part in his decision to commit to a deal with Philadelphia. Now, if you ask me, honestly, man, like, how do you not take that Suns job? With all due respect to 76ers fan, if you're watching this, and to Joel Embiid, I know he's a great player. Yes, he did win the MVP, but he's also about to be 30 years old. Like, Devin Booker is a lot more exciting player, personally, if you want to coach him. And then you got KD there as well. I know KD's going to switch teams, seems like almost every couple of years, but that team looks a lot better than what the 76ers have going. And I said it, don't be surprised if Nick Nurse gets back at the Raptors by becoming the next head coach of the 76ers. Now, if you're a 76ers fan and you're watching this, all jokes aside, Nick Nurse is a really good head coach. He's going to be someone that's going to make the right adjustments in the playoffs and put the right players and try different lineups. Well, I wouldn't say different lineups, but I think the 76ers can use different types of players along with Joel Embiid and James Harden. That's to assume if he comes back. So yes, he's going to give the 76ers something they haven't had, not with their previous head coach, not with the one before that. Doc Rivers did not have playoff adjustments. We are well aware of his playoff failures, but Nick Nurse gives something to the 76ers they haven't had in quite some time, which is a head coach that makes really good quality rotations in the playoffs, and he's built for the playoffs, and the 76ers are trying to win a championship, and I think this is a good matchup. But still, as a Raptors fan, I'm not going to lie, this is going to take some time to get used to. I mean, you literally had so much history against the 76ers. You had Joel Embiid, who publicly stated to the media that Nick Nurse likes to complain a lot about fouls, and Joel Embiid, and likewise, he's kind of on the similar base as well, where he likes to complain about fouls. And shout out to Samson on Twitter, who actually said, Joel Embiid crying about fouls, Nick Nurse crying about fouls, and how they're together. That's going to be something to watch. I mean, honestly, as a Raptors fan, man, I'm not going to lie. I'm still trying hard not to laugh at this. Obviously, it's a great hire for the 76ers, but I'm kind of surprised. I really am. Like, the Suns' offer was so much more, honestly, attractive, and you chose the 76ers. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Like, I feel kind of weird as a Raptors fan. Like, the last time I felt like this was when I woke up early morning on Pacific time, 5 a.m. for work, and I see Paul George has been traded to the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard has been signed with the Clippers at that moment. So this is kind of a weird feeling for me personally. Nick Nurse has done wonders with the Raptors. Look, I appreciate what he's done. Don't get me wrong. He's shut down Joel Embiid. Now it's just going to be fun to see how he manages that 76ers team as well. So again, very interesting. Also, to quickly end this little Nick Nurse saga we have here before we move on to Raptors head coaches as well. Potential head coaches. James Harden has also clashed with a few head coaches, at least the last two head coaches, and Steve Nash and Doc Rivers as well. There's been all sorts of rumors, although we haven't publicly seen it. It's been obvious. So it'll be very interesting to see if James Harden not only returns to the 76ers, but how Nick Nurse and James Harden are going to have that relationship. They're both strong-headed people. And again, we don't know how it's going to work out, but very interesting hire. Obviously, a good hire for the 76ers. As a Raptors fan, I kind of feel weirded out, I'm going to be honest. But let's talk about the Toronto Raptors, because it's being rumored that they are down to 3 finalists for their new head coaching duties. Now, this was being reported yesterday, stating the Raptors are advancing to a second round of interviews for their head coaching job. Doug Smith of Toronto Star reports it may not be long before they announce Nick Nurse's replacement. One source told Smith the Raptors president, Masai Ujiri, has narrowed the list to 3 candidates, and the final interviews are being scheduled, though Smith says he was unable to independently confirm the source's information. From the beginning, the Raptors chose to take a broad approach To the search, the jury originally, indicated the coaching search could last right up to the June draft, but the process appears to be reaching an earlier conclusion. Former Nets coach Steve Nash, Kings associate head coach Jordi Fernandez, TV analysis JJ Redick, Spanish national head coach Sergio Scariolo, Nuggets assistant David Allman, Heat's assistant Chris Quinn are potentially some of the names under serious consideration. Toronto had interest in former Suns coach Monty Williams, but it's unclear whether he has been interviewed. Now, it also was another article which mentioned that although there was initial interest for the Raptors for Becky Hammon, it seems like that's not going to happen. Obviously, Becky Hammon, has been dealing with a little bit controversial stuff in the WNBA as well, where she treated a player that was pregnant, and I don't know if she got suspended or fined. So again, I always had a feeling that Becky Hammon isn't going to be one that's going to come to the Raptors because it seems like she's trying to build something in the WNBA. But obviously, very interesting to see that Raptors have finalized their potential three finalists for the head coaching duties. Now, if you ask me personally, I think Jordi Fernandez is definitely there. David Eldman is there. Chris Quinn could definitely be one of the finalists as well. Now, shout out to someone on Twitter who actually said that one of the reasons we may have been waiting so long for the Raptors to announce who they've hired as a head coach is Chris Quinn and also David Eldman as well. Both those teams are currently in the playoffs, and obviously it becomes a little bit of a distraction if the assistant head coaches leave. I know that was the case with Bruce Brown. I think someone mentioned last year with the Golden State Warriors, but obviously the Heat are still in the playoffs as this video records, and we're about to start Game 7. But personally, if you ask me, I don't think you could go wrong with either of those. Jordi Fernandez is amazing. He's turned the Sacramento Kings offense and their entire team around this season. He's been someone that's really interesting. We'll talk more about him if he does get hired. I also really, really like Chris Quinn. I can't emphasize enough on this because he's Eric Spoelstra's right-hand man, and he's been a key part of Miami's developmental system, which we've seen with so many undrafted guys. We're seeing it right now with what they have on this team as well. So he would be very interesting given how the Raptors' history of developing guys and just how they naturally build their roster as well. Now, David Allman, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot about him. I was actually watching Yahoo Canada Sports video about him. They released this morning. I haven't gone through all of it, but it seems like he's been a really good developmental coach as well. Nikola Jokic has had high praise for him, stating that he's a genius. He makes a lot of great adjustment as well. So again, if those are the three finalists, I'm going to be honest, there's no right or wrong answer. All of those three have their individual skills, and they could be really good head coaches in the NBA. So I'm very excited to see who the Raptors do announce whether that's in the next coming days or weeks, and we'll see what happens. But I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on not only the Nick Nurse situation, also the Raptors finalists as well, and who you think the finalists may be. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and that will be it for today's video. If you do want a shout out, there's no trivia question for today's video. Just comment down below. I'll give you a shout out for my next video. So that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.